I want to talk about Katha. Started in 1988, right? And we are talking about 88, that's almost 36 years ago, in the slums of Delhi, Govindpuri. And that is what we call Dharavi, everyone knows. Dharavi of Bombay is Govindpuri in Delhi. Right? Over 3 lakh, 4 lakh families in tightly knit, extreme poverty situations. That's how Katha started when our founder, whom we'll talk about, who will come on the next slide, when she started going in and there was children, why are these children not reading? Right? So she started taking books. There was a magazine called Tamasha magazine, which she had edited. She started giving it to children. Children would not even know what they were talking, what it is. Then you go deeper into understanding the children. They do not even identify any alphabet. And when the books that are given to the children, they high dropout rates in school. The children would not even touch any of these books because it was not interesting for them. Unless it's interesting, unless they're involved, how will they even get into it? So that's how Katha has formed with undervalued, historically undervalued communities. From then we went on, it's gone for a long time, and then in 2021, I was involved. I came in 2020, December, as a volunteer. I was there earlier with Microsoft, IBM outside the country. When I came back in 2014, wanted to do something, enough of doing all these corporate things. So I was been volunteering for almost 6 years. 2020, I ended up becoming a lot more, 12 hours volunteering, started for a week, and then ended up 40, 50 hours of volunteering a week. So I started something called 300 Million Citizens Challenge. What we did was Katha had a lot of content. We were working a lot with the communities, with children. How do we take it to solve a problem which is across the world, across India, into 25 states, not just Delhi-based? That's the work I did for 4 years as a volunteer. In 4 years, we went to have 250 partners in 22 states, 525 pin codes. So probably the board thought, why don't you take the reins of Katha? And that's how this happened, right? Katha was formed by Geeta Dharmarajan. She is a Padma Shri awardee also. She has done a lot of books. If you read, just Google, you will find a lot of books in Geeta's name. But fundamentally, like Vishnupriya ji, she's absolutely with the children. So 36 years of life, it was, even today she is active, has been constantly into research, into how stories and new ways of learning. We don't call teaching, we call children's learning. How can we involve parents? For that matter, when our children in the community come, when the parents come for the children meetings, children get an award. Children get a better marks. There are marks given for children, not marks, there are appreciations given for children if parents are involved, right? We do a lot of work in that space, and that is Geeta Dharmarajan founded. So what is this organization that was founded for all? Yes, we are a non-profit, but we founded as a profit for all, with a simple 4 words: translating stories, transforming lives. When I came in 4 years ago and I started, I thought this is all about translations. No, the story in the mind of the child, the story that is running in your mind. All of us which we spoke today, these are all stories. How does that story of Dr. Sven get transformed into actions of everybody? The minute we start thinking from that point of view, the Katha is not a book publisher, is not a story writer. It is bringing the story from remotest parts of the country, remotest parts of the folk songs, and back into transformative actions. That action that focuses on holistic learning for the child. Holistic, I'll come into that later, but the child should become a reader leader. Right? That's what we always talk about. It's not just reading is not enough. When you start reading more, you will become a reader leader. Right? Why do we do that? We want to create a world that is free, fair, and fearless. Again, I repeat, it's free, fair, fearless for all our children. So that is how, with the vision, it started. Thankfully, we've been going on for 35 years, as Dr. Sven also said, as long as the purpose is driving you. It's not been easy. It's been ups and downs for it, like any other non-profit. But yes, COVID and pre-COVID, there were many situations. But I think we keep the child at the center, and that's how we go with. Katha has an organization for 35 years, 30 years, works on certain ideas, what we call geek. Girls are equal. And that's been something which is very strong for us. Girls, being 50% under the sky, need to deserve that space. So everything that we do, every book that we have, you would see subconsciously girls being in the center, the protagonist. We don't tell our children when they're learning, you know what, girls and boys are equal. You don't need to tell them. When the bus driver in that picture is a girl, it changes something for the child. Ma'am. Bus ni అమ్మాయి తోలుతుంది మ్యామ్. ఎందుకు? वो नहीं चला सकते? क्यों? Then we go into discussions on what girls can do, boys can do, and that's how it becomes internalized. We don't preach saying girls and boys are equal. We don't preach that earth has to be taken care of. The stories talk about it themselves. We talk about equity, we talk about kindness, and these are the things which very easily can be weaved into stories so that the children can read about it, learn about it. So that is one part of it. These are the big ideas we work with. In addition, what we call is C9 skills. Those are children. What are the things we need to? They need to be first curious. They need to be creative. They need to think critically, which is something which today's world we call HOTS question and all these things. But at the end of it, mug up these chapters, write these answers. This is how exams are going to be. This is how you need to answer. Change the question. You have a huge TV interview next day in the, today format has changed. Papers have been tough because the question formats have changed. Right? That is critical thinking. So all our children, we and our books foster a sense of curiosity, creativity, critical thinking. The first me skills. And I think that's important for all of us as well. Right? The second set of 3 C's is about building competence, having better communication skills, and that builds confidence. That is what we call as me plus skills. Then we go to the third part. Then the child gets into the community, they get into collaboration, they get into citizenship. So every child which we have touched, we want them to go through this entire cycle. Words, stories, writing, reading has no meaning if these things don't happen. So that is again 35 years of work in this space. And the third thing we talk about big ideas is about poverty. No child should live in poverty. When we are talking of no child living in poverty, it means we do not want social poverty in the country, personal leadership poverty, intellectual poverty, cultural poverty, or environmental poverty. So we build that. See, Katha is a storyteller. That's what everyone thinks about. But we build on the 2,000-year-old Bharatanatyam Shastra, and we think these stories are the ones that connect people, putting all this together. So now, with all that background, we put into learning practices, teaching practices, into curriculum, into academic, CBSE, into NCERT books. These things are getting into it. It's not 100%, but they all follow many of the schools, many of the governments we work with. They take some of these things. NEP 2020 is a very good example of how some of these practices have gotten in, what we call active story-based learning, right? Where the child is asked to think, the child will ask questions, they discuss, they take an action, and they achieve something. Example, if there is a story of a frog running out, Dadu's Day Out. From that, the child learns, they discuss about thinking, they talk about science. When the frog leaps, how do you plot it out on a graph? So today we have about 1 crore children who have been over the last 35 years. And in every place we do, we see performance increasing by 80%, attendance going up, almost doubling up. And in terms of retention, which is very important in government schools, children continue what they are going to do, right? So we have a lot of programs towards it. We have a lab school, Child Poverty Action Research in Delhi. We have an English academy, which takes care of it. Children learning English. They learn in native language, but English is an additional language they learn. We do not believe in forcing English onto children. They should have the love for reading English, right? And that's how our children are very good English communicators, that not because it's a medium of instruction. We have, when the child goes, ultimately it's been 35 years, we had 2,000 odd alumni coming out, right? They need to have jobs. So from 6th standard onwards, through the entrepreneurship, they go through vocational learning on bakery, on tailoring, on carpentry. Recently we added on mobile repair and on information technology. So information technology is big. We train about 3,000 children, 50% of them girls, into IT and IT-related jobs. Then in Tamil Nadu, we have something called Adivasi and Dalit Labs, work with the most indigenous set of communities. The people who you would have seen, Irulers, J-Beam, that sort of people. We work in 14 magic labs there, where these children will valorize knowledge over literacy. All this through Katha pedagogy. And with women, we work as a slum resurgence initiative. This is Katha Shri. We work with women. We have worked with 3,500 slums and over 80,000 women so far, right? And 300 million citizens challenge, as I said, all this we have done for 30, 35 years. Can I take it to every grassroots through partnerships, through technology to the remote parts of the country? That's we did about last 6 years. We reached about 25 states, 525 pin codes, and that's 300 million citizens challenge.